right. First map is Secluded Grove. I'm excited for that. I'm going to be keeping an eye out because we have Celestial players. There's a couple of maps, because loser does get to pick, but there's a couple of maps that we need to kind of be mindful of as obvious picks for Celestial players. These are our larger maps. These are things like Lost Hope, Boneyard, stuff like that, that kind of benefits from having that distance, allowing players to really kind of build up and have that defender's advantage when they're defending against aggressive attacks. Also, we got to see some very cool builds on those specifically large maps. I would not be surprised if we're going to be seeing our Vanguard player be picking kind of the smaller maps to kind of deal with things. You know, we'll be seeing stuff like Secluded Grove. We'll probably see in stuff like Titan's Causeway, you know, Broken Crown, even like these kind of classic shorter distance maps to kind of fight our opponents at. But lots of chances for players to kind of adapt their play style on specific maps, which is very cool to see. And one thing that like makes RTS so great is like your gameplay not only adapts to the players that you're playing against, but also your gameplay should be adapting to the map specific, right? Yes, you can go in the same openings and the same builds because you're fighting against the specific factions, but you also want to be able to adapt and take advantage of the map features and go, oh, okay, there are specific resources on this map that I really want more of and stuff like that. But let's get in it. We've got the game loaded up here, so let's jump in game number 1 here. Boom, boom, boom. As everything loads, let's get our score screen. All right. Let's get our introduction started out here, spawning up in the north. It is going to be our red Celestial player, known as Nicoract. And the doggo's already checking things out here, but his opponent spawning in the south, our blue Vanguard player, known as Mixu. All right, so Secluded Grove is our starting map. The main base, very large, lots of areas to like put your tech, but your natural has a very wide open area, lots of avenues to attack, so it's like a little bit harder to defend against here. We already see kind of the doggo doing his job, getting over across the map to do the harassment. Power banks coming up because this is going to be the forward location that we see the Celestial players do. That's one of the benefits of playing Celestials, is you get to basically move out and produce your base in a different location than just leaving it in your main base like other people would. So we see the forward location going to be at the natural, kind of locking it in, getting the morph cores, getting our creation chamber up, and starting it out with an Argent opening. A very solid, very safe opening to go for. Sometimes you'll see players go for Kree, and it's really just kind of responding. This is a nice, safe way to go. Now, if you're wondering about like all this energy flowing through this, the lightning coming off these buildings, part of this is we have all these power banks and so much energy built up that our buildings are going to produce these units faster. So that is a big factor in using this as our forward jumping off location. We're going for the double creation chamber to open it up as we kind of are securing this natural. We've already got our collection array, so we're getting extra resources here. The way things work out is Doggo's getting out for Mixu. He's going to be going out and creeping. We've probably got, yep, just the one Lancer to open. This is kind of his go-to opening that we're seeing from a lot of Vanguard players, is just the one Lancer opening, dogs to follow it up. You've got the kind of beefy powerhouse in the front with the Lancer, and the speed and mobility of the Doggos to kind of help you out and scout around, get some more information here. But both players going to be taking over their towers. It's going to be a lot of creeping, very similar to the Warcraft 3 style of, hey, you want to get out and you want to creep up, you get extra resources when you kill these camps, but you also sit here and be able to get extra added bonus, right? Things like being able to get extra energy, get extra vision, stuff like that. We're seeing some pings take place here as players are talking about how they're going to be scouting and moving around. But the Doggo's coming out already, getting the reveal, and see an Argent out here. So catching this is huge. Grabbing one right off the bat, reinforcement is very, very nice here. Now, remember, Argents do have a set amount of damage they do based on the amount of energy, and so by hiding by these power banks, you guarantee that the Argent can do max damage, because these will help charge up and power them up here. But we do see the kind of reposition. Let's go over and take the health camp over here on the right side, and both players do get to see when a camp is taken, because it is locating red, locating blue on the mini-map, and they can be able to see that information here. So the Doggo's going to come over, try to steal it, but the Argents are going to have something to say about this. And so we will be seeing this little contest start to take place as players are going to be running back and forth trying to secure as many towers as possible, but hoping not to get surrounded here. The Lancer over here is doing his best to kind of hold down the fort and get healed up. You don't want to kind of, you see the dogs running around, so you don't want to get caught. You want to be able to make sure that you're in a good position to defend against it, and you can be like, all right, yes, you could send a troop over here, but if there's more units this way, you're going to be in trouble here. So that is something to consider. Now, this is a one-base style of play that Mixu's going for the Hornets here. We've got the hangar bay added in here. He's going to be going for the air units to kind of help out with some harassment, which works out pretty well when your opponent is getting prisms and stuff like that, that you can be able to do some harassment. Extra damage is very cool. It's a very strong build. We're seeing a lot of Vanguards use against Celestials, is to kind of go this route. I like the battle mech style with going for the dogs, going for hedgehogs and stuff like that, but it's not as powerful, because if they get caught, they die very easily. Where the Hornets have that ability to kind of retreat, get back home a little bit easier. You have that mobility to kind of help out. And Lancer getting caught out all by himself here. We'll be doing a little bit of battle here. The healing factor is not enough, so losing that Lancer there, every little bit counts, and kind of these units getting picked off here and there, but it's nothing too crazy in that regard. Oh, first Hornet coming out, getting revealed too. So we're going to see a lot of that air jets. You hear that just like whooshing sound as the Hornet zips around here, and we'll be going right for it. Look how quickly they can take out the prisms. That's the main reason that we see players go for this build against Celestials. And we see, oh, the Sovereign's Watch come out, but we respond with a nice little shield coming out here. Will he be able to get out in time? Yes, he will. So very nice reaction there. So that is, of course, that shield pop in there to be able to help protect it. Absorbs a bit of damage. Oh, level 3 Doggo here. Try to get in, see if he can be able to control that watchtower. Not able to in the meantime. We will be seeing kind of that next stage of things, right? Going to be trying to get their collection ray up and running, but the Argent's not really able to do anything. Sovereign's Watch going to come down as well, and we'll be able to pick off that nice little Hornet there. So puts a little stop to that. Good defense here, but there's not very much else to defend here. So using the Doggo to kind of absorb the hits. Hornet comes back over. Doggos surround this. We're getting the reveal, trying to see where are the Argents coming to defend against this. Is he just going to right-click and run? It looks like that's his plan. He's going to use the dog's speed to try to get out. How much will he lose in the process? Only a couple in the process of being able to get out of there. And look, we still have the Hornets coming back over here. There is a link node trying to come up, use it as a defensive structure to kind of use it like a tower to help defend, but Hornets catch this and we'll be able to clean that up quickly, and now they can keep harassing the collection ray. But there is a large army moving across the field here, and Exo is out, and that is kind of not where you want to be stuck by yourself. There's no defensive structures here. We don't have any bunkers to be able to set them up. No way. There, we're starting to scramble to get it in there, but I don't think the Exo is going to live long enough. No, he's not. We got a couple more back here, but we're not going to get the flat cannon up in time, and now we're in this panic mode of, I don't have anything to fight this. Yes, I've got Hornets that have been harassing and doing stuff, but there's the big power-up. We're basically having to use our Bobs to deal with this, and the amount of Argents here is really scary to deal with. Look at this little stutter step, just picking off Bob after Bob and running on back home. No problem. More and more Bob's going to get kited their way around, but you can see some of the energy getting very low on some of these Argents. In the meantime, more and more Argents getting built up here. Dogs swung their way around. They're trying to find an angle, but we've got some defensive structures, some strike nodes coming in here. How much damage can they do? They get a forcing to take out some of the power banks, which is nice, but another Sovereign's Watch is going to come down and push these dogs away. But again, we're left with, what do you have back home to defend this? Nothing. There's not enough back here to deal with these Argents. And yeah, here's the Bobs coming in here. We've got the Hornets coming out as well for added DPS here, but more and more Argents are coming in. One Hornet gets picked off very quickly, very easily in this process here, and the next wave of full energy Argents are showing up. All these with lower damage is tough, but it's not going to matter here. GG is called. Mixu taps out, and game one goes to Nicoract in this match here. Very exciting first game in the series here. I like to see the Hornet play, right? We get in there. You saw the economic damage, but it's such a commitment to get to that stage, resource-wise, tech-wise, that you're invested so much to get there that your army on the ground is so small and so weak that it's so hard to deal with, and forces you to kind of be in this awkward spot where it goes, oh, here comes the push, and now I'm in trouble, right? Now I have no way to kind of deal with this large Argent army that's just been building up, and that's why players will go for kind of that double opening like that of the creation chambers and just kind of pump out Argents, because they know that they can attack air, they can attack ground units, that you're in a nice solid spot that you can kind of walk over a Vanguard player if they're not prepared. And that's kind of what happened there. But that we talked about this before, is like game one is a lot of that information gathering. How well can you deal with this? What can you do? What are you starting off? How are you responding to things? And we got to get a lot of that information revealed there of, oh, okay, you just go for heavier Argents. And part of that could be the map choice. It's a smaller map. It's easy to kind of just build up a strong ground force and move across. But we've been seeing Celestial players use these sort of builds time and time again of just like, if I get enough numbers of these, I can just overwhelm your Bioforce before you're ready for it. And, you know, the resource commitment that the Vanguard player has to commit to it is a lot. So we're going to be jumping into game number 2 here. And this one is going to be on Boneyard. So we talked about how Boneyard could be a Celestial map, but Mixu was the one to pick it. But let's get our intros started up here. Spawning up in the north, currently up 1-0 in this best of 5 series. It is going to be our red Celestial player, Nicoract. And his opponent spawning in the south, our blue Vanguard player. The last remaining Vanguard player in the tournament, he is Mixu. All right, so normal ways to things open here on Boneyard. If you're not familiar, you basically have a natural expansion in your main base. There's 2 pathways into your base, one over here, one over here. Same can be said over on the other side here. What we're going to be seeing is basically free camp inside your base, which is nice. It's easy to take, nice and safe, and we will be seeing kind of the fight over the health camps for both players as the early stages go. The doggo over here getting the scouting information and sees, okay, you're already setting up, you're already getting yourself built up. Creation chambers coming out soon afterward. We'll start going for the similar build here to take over. Sometimes you'll see players like aggressively creep this as like the Celestials using their arc ships and stuff like that. We're not going to see it this time around. You can do it, but this way you don't have to be worrying so much. You can just kind of rely on the quick build up here. All right, we got some prisms coming out. Nice. More and more power banks, and this is the normal opening, right? If you're learning Celestials or learning Stormgate and you see this matchup, you're going to see kind of this setup here as this nice forward location of my base. Make sure I've got enough power here to kind of make these Argents useful here. And now we see the Sovereign's Watch coming down that we talked about to help creep this up and take out all of these camps here. Get that extra boost to resources. Same thing can be said over here, already taken out, and that's kind of that speed of the dogs, allowing him to kind of get out. That one Lancer mass dog response here. And where are we going to go from here? Oh, switching it up to the mech bay. So this is going to be a little bit more of the battle mech style of play here. Hedgehogs and dogs, very fast, very aggressive. With such a large map, you have that mobility that you can kind of get out here and really make something happen. But we will be seeing a fight over the watchtowers here. These are really important because it's such a large area around your base, so many different pathways that players can get up into your base, that you want to be able to kind of have this vision camp up so you kind of know how your opponent might be maneuvering around the map, right? It's much easier to just take a straight path closer to your opponent instead of going crazy paths around to sneak up on them. You could do it, but it doesn't happen as often at this point in the game. So we are going to be seeing a quicker tech up to our next stage, getting our expansion up and running as our army is going to start building up a little bit stronger here as we're continuing with our tech route here. But you can see the hedgehogs. Hedgehogs are nice because of the mobility, the speed. They also have an anti-air mode where they kind of lock in place, think similar to a siege tank, but if they do, it only gets them into that kind of anti-air mode. And now we see the vectors, so we have a different tech route here. Vectors, you know, these little hover bikes there that get a zip around, and they have a blink ability, so they are very mobile, very fast, and very annoying to deal with here, especially if you start getting vision and get high numbers. You can kind of get get in and out of bases with harassments. But we got to go over here, hang out on the low ground where we've got that health camp to help us out here. We're trying to fight over this tower here, and as long as our hedgehog is okay, we'll be all right. But we got to make sure that stays alive. And nice little sniping with the dogs. Fall back here to this health camp so we can be able to heal up. But again, we've got to make sure our hedgehog stays alive in this process. It's going to be dangerous. Big fight over the health camp, but we still will have control of it. We're trying to get the dogs in a good surround. We're trying to get him on this vector, and he can still blink on out of here if he wanted to. Oh, gets sniped off, and the hedgehog number 2 has shown up, and this is a great response to your opponent being a very aggressive Argent player, being able to come in and utilize the speed and the power of the dogs and the hedgehogs here, and then just kind of fall back, using that defender's advantage to get healed up, and GG is called. Game number 2 goes to Mixu. So both saying, okay, Argent's worked out really well in game 1. Let's try it this time around. Let's go for a very aggressive Argent push and kind of take advantage. You pick this as your map choice, so you probably have specific builds or something planned for here. So I'm going to try to go for aggressive play. I'm going to add in the vectors here and go for a nice little timing attack. Timing attack didn't work out so well because we had a nice response with the hedgehogs there. So going for that mobile, that battle mech style of play, utilizing dogs, utilizing hedgehogs, worked out really, really well. So very fast-paced game number 2 here. We're going to be jumping into game number 3 shortly. Very fast-paced game number 2. We'll see if it's going to be as fast. This one has that ability to be fast, but it also has the ability for players to kind of micro up and kind of turtle up a little bit here. So we've got spawning up here in the north, tying the series up with a nice little battle mech style of play. He is our red Vanguard player, known as Mixu. And his opponent, spawning in the south, our blue Celestial player, known as Nicoract. All right, so Broken Crown, again, it's a classic. If you watch like the betas or the alphas, and you should be familiar with this, right? We've got destructible trees here to separate our kind of third base. We have an easier to take fourth base here, kind of easy to lock down these little pathways. So it's not hard for players to get up and build up to like 4 bases on this map, but you could see also very aggressive timing attacks because it's easy to take a natural for both players here. All right, you know there's kind of just that small ramp here, but the normal stuff that we're going to see from players in this early stage is let's get the Lancer out, let's get the doggos out, and let's start creeping. Same sort of deal here is we're going to see the trees get taken out here. We're creeping up using that Sovereign's Watch, turning this into a fighting unit to be able to fight down and take out this creep camp, getting that big burst to our resources. And are we going to just get that quick third base right away? It looks like that's going to be our plan as our Morph Core kind of floats his way on over there and turns into Illuminate Mine, that collection array there. So very, very big economic plans right now for Nicoract, saying, you know what? This is a safe map. I know how this works. It's going to be very hard for you to kind of bust in. I can afford to delay my creation chamber for a little bit just to make sure that I can get this third base up quickly because of the camps and things like that over there. But here come the doggos, going to get over and get these. Oh, my gosh. Did he get it? I was like, did he know? Oh, he did not see, but he sees the trees that are gone. So that should give you a little bit of an indication of what is happening. So one Argent is here. Doggo is going to be running around. Lancer is even making his way on over here. But the dogs will see this, and they're going to force this to kind of lift off here. Sovereign Watch going to get used here, so we just got to wait, make for that to disappear. And Lancer is coming through. Argents are going to catch him and start kind of wailing on him a little bit there. But you just got to wait a little bit for this to no longer have the Sovereign's Watch. Only about 5 more seconds, and then it's safe to kind of go in and attack it. But now we're going to be seeing our biokinetics lab up and running, and we're going to be going for our nice little increased damage for the dog. So we're going for heavier dog builds here, as we're going to be relying on their speed and mobility to kind of get out and take advantage of all the creeps that are on the map here. And look how quickly they're leveling up, right? We got a lot of level 3s. So remember, the way that the Vanguard faction works is that the more that they kill things, the more XP that they get, they will be leveling up even more. And that means more health, more armor, more damage, more vision, all the good stuff that you might want. So one doggo comes over here, will put a denial on this, trying to force your opponent to respond, while in the meantime, you're going over and taking his creep camps. And this is also a good way to get information about how big your opponent's army is. And there you go. Okay, so you've got only a couple of Argents out right now. Not too bad. We've got the double creation chamber pumping them out. We're going to be really powering up soon, like taking advantage of our third base here, while our opponent is still on one base. So they're going for a much more aggressive utilization of the creep camps and saying, I'm going to not worry so much about getting out there and taking my expansion because I'm getting so many extra resources from these camps to help me here. And there, the Argent count is getting quite large. But again, you see your opponent takes this camp, and so now you are in this kind of panic mode of, okay, do I need to just be defensive here? How do I have to deal with this? Right? The dog continues to be annoying, coming over here and just attacking this. Argents are going to try to get the intercept, but, oh, he's so fast. And he's able to get out. Meaning, hey, great, I'm glad your army's over here, but you've got nothing back at your natural here. And we're going to go right for one of those power banks. One's going to go down. Sovereign Watch does get popped here on the collection rate to add that extra DPS. Another power bank's going to go down, and he's just taking them all out here. Takes 3 down and will run away. That's this kind of power of this build, of you get to kind of go for this very mobile, very fast hit-and-run tactics and run away. We've got a natural following it up behind this, kind of that traditional RTS mentality, you know, be aggressive while expanding behind this, so you've got your macro and your micro going at the same time. And one dog's going to come in here, and we're going to catch an Argent for the price of for free. Oh, nope, the Sovereign's Watch is going to put a stop to that there, but that means if the Sovereign Watch is targeting that, we can kind of come in here and do some extra damage. Now, the Exos here will be nice to help out with that added damage, but you've got to be careful not to get caught and lose too much of this army. Big power up there, trying to save him here. Can we get out of there? There's the boost. Nice little stutter stepping, keeping that alive. But again, we're in this kind of panic retreat mode here. That's a lot of Argents moving their way across the map, and we don't have very much back at home to defend. We've got them up. Sentry posts are about to end, so we can be able to throw a couple of these weakened Exos in there, turn these guys into flat cannons. That'll make a big difference in this fight here. And there we go. First flat cannon coming out, and we'll push this away and say, get out of here. This is my side of the map. You don't have the fighting power to bust through 2 flat cannons along with all the dogs that I've got. So very solid securing of the natural expansion here. Argents are forced to back off for Nicoract as he kind of moves his way over. And look at how much range that flat cannon has. But we see the tree's going to get eaten alive here by the Bobs as we get to kind of keep an eye on where the enemy army is. And it's going to take over that speed camp, and we're going to go for this kind of hit and run. Let's sneak our way into the natural here, but Exo's there trying to fight against this. The other sentry post is now finished up, so we can have multiple flat cannons, and he goes right for it, just going to target that down very quickly there. Nobody's in the second one. Now they're getting in here, and he can start juggling those units in and out, the weakened ones, but we do have added scary units here with the Cabals. They've got some slow abilities. They've got some hold position abilities here to kind of stop his opponent from being able to do all the things that he wants to do. Flat cannon still being annoying. Oh, there's the reveal and says, where's your army? What is going on? So now he's going to go over and harass from the low ground, utilizing those skills here. In the meantime, some doggos are on the run, trying to keep an eye on things, but the Cabals keep a close eye in this next battle, how effective they are in this. We will be needing additional sentry posts get added in here, and we do see 2 more getting added on to really lock down and make sure that this is safe. In the meantime, doggos come in, take out another power bank, and will be zipping on out, using their speed, using that extra damage that they've got to kind of really disrupt your opponent. Where is the follow-up here for both players? Well, we're in this kind of lock-in mode of we're just going for bio style of play. We're going to build up a larger exo count. Lancers are nice if you can get a couple for like that meat shield, the protection up in the front line, but really you want this high damage thing. And now we're starting to get that quick draw, which will make a huge burst of DPS available to them. By getting that extra movement speed, they can really start to micro around and really get kind of the maximum damage that they would like to do here. And now we're going to be seeing the med tech get added in here, but here's the push-up. Let's see how well he defends against this. Oh, nice job pulling the Bobs. Just kind of, posturing. We're in like this shark mode of swimming around our opponent, really trying to scare them and keep them on their toes, and a couple of extra shots going to go down. Look at these slow abilities already. Oh, it's so scary. Oh, we tried to pull some of the dogs again. We want to. Oh, look at this. Nice ascendancy right here. We're going to be ascending those creeps up, get that extra resources here. But there's the Kree that got added in here. So they deal extra damage to light units, which these Exos are. So that's why they're going to be scrambling back. The doggos are also light units too, but they get cleaned up. At least one of them does turn into a bomb when it's about to die. Does just a little bit of damage, but every little bit counts here when you are in this kind of major fight mode here. But throw at least a repair bot in here. Get the repair-o-matic going, repair our doggos, because, you know, you didn't realize they were mechanical units. Light, mechanical, and biological. They get to be everything. And, oh my gosh, catching one of these, that is awesome. And now he gets to do a little bit of kiting again. We talked about that speed, and that's where these Cabals are going to be playing a huge factor. They're really trying to slow these units down and kind of reduce their movement speed, but just that burst of speed, getting in there, getting the DPS there, and kind of falling back. But we're going to see a lot of this kind of hit-and-run tactics is the style that Mixu's going for, where Nicoract is just trying to build up a large enough force to kind of barrel his way in and win one big battle to win this game here. He's going to be relying a lot on the Cabal's slow abilities to kind of help him out and really be able to capitalize on that. But the med techs are going to help keep these units alive. The Exos are going to be the main like damage dealers for our Vanguard player. So it's going to be a lot of this kind of back and forth push and pull tactics here. But big build up here of Kree starting to come back over on Nicoract style. So we will see kind of this next regroup up. We could also see this force start to kind of move out and start getting more and more creep camps. But keeping our opponent here and scared is a great strategy because your opponent can't go out, they can't creep out, and they can't do the things that they want to be able to do. But we do see one doggo sneaks his way over to the left here, and we'll start grabbing some of the camps. So that's at least a nice little indication of kind of, oh, okay, what's going on over here? All right. Doggo's still revealing what's happening. We've got our med station now being utilized here to make sure it's got this kind of healing aura set up around us. And now we're going to be getting into the mech bay. We're getting into the heavy duty stuff. So this is going to be such a cool build, guys. So we've got our hangar bay going to be getting our evac, our dropship set up. And then we've got this mech bay building the evacs or giving our Atlas here. So we're going to load our Atlas up in our evac. And we're going to be going for this nice little drop style of play to kind of just drop and rain fire from above, turning the floor into lava, getting so much added damage done here. So I'm really excited to see this get set up here for the next stages of the game. But there's the next set of army going around, creeping around, taking all of the camps. This is kind of that ability of, since we have this soft contain on Mixu, keeping him trapped inside of our base, we can kind of get away with this. A couple of doggos will get caught around here, but that's okay. Like, we're not that worried about the doggos getting hit. We have enough sentry posts. We're really protected in here. And then, yeah, here we go. Okay, so Atlas are already, like, in siege mode. They're already loaded up here. And you can just load 2 of them in here, drop them off, let them get their shots, and do this nice little micro juggle here. All right. Soft contain still working out really well. Do we have our additional? Yeah, okay. We've got more power banks set up here. Our blast node for extra protection here. And I was like, where's our transition? The Sabers are coming out here. So now we're getting our own little siege units to help kind of break this stalemate that has been created here. So very, very cool. It does, of course, have that splash damage. That's the thing that we're looking for, is how are we going to break these stalemates is with splash damage. So both players are going to start really kind of relying on additional boost in economy here by getting those camps, and it is time to move across the map here. We got a couple of Argents going to get caught for free. Look how fast they go down. There's the Atlas raining destruction here. We got to be careful, though, because of these blast nodes here going to have that extra damage, and there's the Kree running in, but the evac's going to lift them up, no problem. Now watch for the slow as all these Cabals come over here. We do see the Atlas going to be trying to get a couple shots off. They get one. Oh my gosh, the Exos are getting shredded right now. The Kree jumping on top of them. So many of them are going down. The Atlas are really the saving grace, trying to deal extra damage to these units in the back. But what is left back home? Not much. There's not much to defend this base. So now we're in full-on panic mode, evacuating this location here. We're going to end up losing our third base in the process. But how much extra damage can we do? Ooh, one Exo is going to get cleaned up here. There's some additional fire coming down. It's really dangerous to push up this ramp right now, knowing that they're the Atlas. But with the Saber here, it's going to make things a little bit safer to get up here. And now we see kind of, boom, there's that destruction. If we can get that upgrade, it would add even more DPS, but that's really hard to get to. The Sabers now really starting to add a little bit of extra damage. Look at this, like, splash damage once they start firing their cannons. Really good push here for Nicoract, taking out that third base. But things are really tough with the Atlas here with the flat cannons. You can't really push into this natural location. Yes, you're in a commanding position in this regard. You've locked out your opponent from having a third base, but you can't really still like bust in the way that you want to. A couple of units getting taken out here. We're doing this Saber versus Atlas battles. A couple of Bobs that were still on their mining expedition get cleaned up, but in the process here you feel like you're in a great spot as a Celestial player, knowing that your opponent is stuck over here. You can kind of move back. Whoa, 2 free Sabers. That was great there. Look, this is what it's really coming down to, is how well the Atlas get their shots off. And one Medtech going to get cleaned up in the process. A couple of Kree pushing their way forward. But because it's just a small area here, the Atlas can really maximize their damage here. And now we've got an additional Atlas coming out. We've still got 2 loaded in here. And there's a couple of free shots. We'll take it. We got to be careful. That evac's starting to get low. If this goes down while the units are in there, it's like the end of the game, right? We'll see him tap out at that point. But we can still rely on our Atlas power here. Look at this. Kree just going to get siphoned off in this process here. We're okay to like delay as long as possible because of the maximum damage that we've got. We already have an additional Atlas up on the high ground, raining destruction down below. And this army is diminishing. All the main fighting stuff in here is gone. Yeah, we got Cabals that can slow things down, but what can you do against the power of the Atlas? Nothing. All right, you've got 1 Saber left. You've got a bunch of Cabals, 1 Argent, 2 Kree. No way. There's no way you can keep this up. So the Soft Dame has been crushed. The army has been crushed, and the supplies have equaled out very quickly. Scythe are our additional pivot, additional transition. Knowing that your opponent is relying very heavily on this little evac micro skills, if you can get there with the Scythe and snipe it out, you'll be feeling so much better. Let's clean up some trees, make it easier to get in there. So it's going to be reliant on how many Exos are there and how many Scythes are there. So pay close attention as our armies transition and shift back and forth as we start to flow into these later stages. This is the fun part of playing on Broken Crown, because the players have been playing this map for so long. They kind of understand what they should be doing here. But the Scythes kind of get revealed there, flying their way over here, trying to look for the army, look for what's going on. But we get a nice little camp, kind of fall back home in our defensive abilities here. I was like, where's our evac? I want to keep an eye on this guy the best we can, so we know. But big power-up mode is about to hit for Mixu now that he's got his third base up and running. We see additional barracks getting added in here, and he's going to be kind of set up to feel comfortable enough to move out on the map. But we see a fight taking place here. Exos moving their way forward, getting some micro. Oh, did he get the last hit? We might have. And there we see the rain from above. Atlas going to be dropping things down here. We're going to try to set up for our 4th base over here, which makes a lot of sense if you want to kind of secure this side of the map, as the third base is the contention point at this point in time, and kind of ignore the left side for the time being, right? The left side is dangerous because that's where you can get caught off guard of being like, oh, I'm positioned over here, but now he's attacking on the right. Like you get in these awkward spots there. But here we go. Big push up here, trying to fight over it, forcing the units to get together, and that's exactly what the Atlas want. But now we're going to have to end up losing 1 Atlas in this fight here, which is very, very dangerous. But the evac was able to get out of there. That's the important part. We've got another Atlas still here, powering up, getting targeted down by the Scythe, but we pop a shield on it so it will not die. Vulcan has also been added to the mix for that added DPS on the ground, but here's the big attack. Scythe coming up, trying to deal damage. They know exactly what they want to go for. They're focusing down the evac to put a stop to this. The Atlases are going to go down as well, but the ground forces have crumbled, and now it's just Evos versus our Scythe, and they will start to crumble here. Saber getting added to the mix, so ground has been diminished here for our Celestial player, but he has air superiority, right? He took out the Atlas, he was able to take out the evacs in the process there, and now Exos can just kind of charge their way forward here. And let's see, still got that annoying blast node, but we can get a nice little camp attack here. Remember that added income is extremely important. And there we go, cleaning all that up, allowing us to have that kind of big surge to help us here. In the meantime, we see the Scythe moving on over and saying, okay, let's attack over here. Let's keep denying you from having this expansion. But hey, guess what? I know where your army is. It's not at your base. So Mixu can be able to come in here with all of his Exos and clean up so many power banks, clean up so many prisons. But he's got to be careful. If he stays too long, the army could trap him in this location. So now he's going to be pouncing on top of the Scythe. Where are the Kree to help out? There's only a couple there. A bunch of the Argents were stuck over in the corner there, and now he is going all in, taking out these Scythes, going to take out some of the Cabals. Kree rolling in to try to help defend this. Argent's still on the low ground here, but this is what we care about. We care about taking out the Scythes. Oh, got to be careful. The Saber has shown up here, and that's going to be that added splash damage that he needs to finish off all the remaining Exos in this army, but we're still microing our heart out, trying to pick off as many units as possible. A couple doggos getting added into the mix. Great snipe on that little healing flower too, making things a little bit easier. Kree rolling in. We'll try to take out that one Exo, but we've got a nice little power up there, and we'll clean that up safely there. So another kind of nice little safety net. Both players kind of licking their wounds, falling back here, and this is kind of that such high level gameplay between both players that neither one is giving an inch. They're basically constantly in motion trying to fight over everything that's going on. We see Mixu trying to get up his expansion again. We'll be able to cancel, seeing exactly where the army is at. It's kind of this danger scary mode here where we can't really afford to it. A nice little ascendancy taking place here. Going to grab this speed camp, make things easier for our next forward soft contain location here. But in the meantime, we're going to go and take an expansion here. We have to get an expansion up, so our economy will be in shambles without it. So we're constantly trying to do that. We've got some hedgehogs getting added to the mix here. Of course, like, I like the addition of like 1 or 2 hedgehogs in case your opponent goes for a heavier scythe build here. But now we get to be able to go in this mass micro here. All the Exos are the damage dealers of this army, so keep a close eye on the count here. We see a nice little power up for our Celestial player, but there, he just trying to barrels his way through, doesn't care, and cleans up the remaining Sabers, cleans up the remaining Argents. That means that it's safe to get Exos back in the mix, and now we're going to be going for an Exo drop with this. In the meantime, we will be seeing additional Argents get added in. Nicoract is kind of struggling to get something here, but there's the Sovereign Watch going to be able to target this down, but all the Exos here are going to be going on mass micro mode trying to fight this out. This is that kind of dangerous plan. I like the plan of trying something new, utilize it, but then it kind of get easily denied with that Sovereign's Watch defensive capabilities as well as the army being there. But again, you identify where the army is, and then you can kind of build up and start to push from a different location. A lot of very weak Exos here that we need to kind of really get a healing med techs in here to kind of help us out, or get one of the healing camps here to help us out. But we see a little bit, again, distraction. Let's pay attention over here. We see the amount of Argents. Oh, that's what we're looking for. Great little catch there. The Saber gets picked off here, and nice microing of the doggo. And now we're getting in here, trying to dive in, trying to utilize our Exos the best we can against Argents. That speed is the thing that matters here. And look at this, great single targeting, but the Argents still have a lot of energy, so that means even more power that they can be able to utilize, especially with this nice little power up here. But is it going to be enough? No, he's forced to run away, regroup up with the Kree, where he can be able to utilize this extra damage to light units. But he's got to get close enough to the Exos in order to do that. More Atlas getting added in here, another evac getting added in here, but we're loading up all of our troops. Get those Exos over there, get that information. Now he's going to be able to go right for this base again. All right, there's a couple of power banks here. We've got a couple of prisms, but that's about it. And this forces your opponent to respond, to run back home as the prisms start to get cleaned up, as the power bank can start to get cleaned up. But there he goes, got to be lifting up and getting out of there, and he does. Safely secures it. Nice little like dance here. All right, drop him out, hot pickup. We'll be locking down the kind of center of the map using Atlases. And we're up to 5 bases. So if he can have enough production to kind of utilize this and continue going, he'll be okay. All right. He's behind supply-wise, but it's really how well you utilize the units that you have, right? This is a dangerous spot to be in. And we got the Atlas. Yep, there it is. Raining fire from above. Oh, we got the upgrade. This is what we're talking about. The floor becomes lava now. So not only do the Atlas rain a lot of damage in one area, but they also get to drop down this extra little firepower that stays on the ground to anything that's there. And now we got to be seeing, oh, we'll be able to start sniping off some of the air units again here. More and more Sabers getting added in, which is very important for that extra splash damage. But we still have so much damage from these Exos here, and there's the landing of all the damage from the Atlas, cleaning up the ground forces, and it looks like Mixu's going to be coming out on top again in this fight. But Nicoract still has reinforcements coming. He still's got more sabers coming in here, but he's got to be careful. The mobility that our Vanguard player gets from having the evac here makes his forces a little bit stronger. And yep, GG is called. That is too much for Nicoract there, and we will see him tap out to the power of the Atlas and Exos there. GG's for game number 3 here, going in favor of Mixu. What a game. Now that was an amazing series there. That's the kind of stuff that I love to see in this game, of this, like, we're going into this longer slugfest, really stretching ourselves to the limit of what we can do with this game, and constantly adapting and evolving and shifting gears between our army compositions to respond to the later stages of the game, to respond to what your opponent's unit comps are going for. So that was awesome. I love seeing that. All right, we're going to be jumping into our next game. Let's load it on up here. Oh, just kidding. We want this one. This is the one we want. All right, remember it is a best of 5, so Mixu could end up taking this series and be waiting in the winner's bracket final. He was our runner-up in Season 0 during the beta, lost to Theory. Theory, our returning champ, was eliminated early. Now we're left with 1 Vanguard player versus 2 Celestial players. Mixu, of course, had the most points going into the season to qualify him for the event. He had 400 points from either winning multiple Alpha Navigator Cup weeklies or getting second place or top 4. On the other side, Nicoract was able to qualify through the last chance qualifier event that we had last weekend. So both players very skilled at the game, and now we're jumping into, not outro, we're jumping into Lost Hope as our map here. There we go. All right, let's get it loaded up here. Spawning over in the north, currently leading 2-1 in this best of 5 series. He is our red Vanguard player, Mixu. And his opponent spawning in the cross spawn location here. It is going to be our blue Celestial player, currently down 1-2, needs to tie things up in this series to keep his tournament chances alive. He is Nicoract. Now this is a huge map. It is also one that you could be able to, it's a 4-player map, so you can spawn anywhere, right? So he checked over here. Are you over here on the left? Nope. Okay. You are over cross spawn, which adds a whole little dynamic to it. But you can see it's very easy to secure a natural expansion. Both players have access to this. Are we going to get the snipe? Oh, I think we did. Get out of there, doggo. He's looking for it. You know he wants it. Remember, last hitting the creep camps will give you the resources that you get. But we're going to see kind of the normal build up here. Power banks coming out. Creation chamber coming out here. But like I talked about, it's very easy to secure your side of the map on this. Like, expect players to have 4 or 5 bases very easily, because you've got your natural expansion here. You've got this tucked back 3rd base that's very safe and easy to secure. There's kind of just this one pathway into it. And then you've got this 4th base kind of tucked back over here. Now, this one is the contention and dangerous spot of the map. Players can take out these trees to kind of get in here and do some harassments into the main base. So both players do have a tucked away 4th base that's kind of easy to secure in that regard. But, you know, it's going to be very easy for players to get up to 3 bases, no problem. We often see players kind of go and, you know, take expansions on kind of like almost hidden expansions over on the left or the right-hand side when they're in this cross-spawn locations. But we'll see. There is, of course, so many extra resources in the center of the map, along with this watchtower, the vision tower. So if you're able to secure the center, that's a huge advantage for you over somebody else. But we will see. Is this going to be a map that we can get to the late stages? Very possible. Will we? That's going to be dependent on what Nicoract does. He saw how effective the Argent pushes were in the first game, and we're going for a similar play this time, where we're building up a strong Argent count and going to have a strong ground-based army to help us out. We're just kind of pumping out 2 Argents at a time, building up a strong enough force to kind of get in here and kind of creep out as much as we can. Meantime, we see kind of the safe, normal opening for our Vanguard player. That one Lancer, masked doggo behind it. Like the speed is really important for you kind of getting around here. But, oh, getting the healing flower too. Very nice. Looks like the Argents are ready to take over the vision camp. So this is that other information, right? If you're playing, you're watching, you see this take place, you see it on the minimap when somebody secures a watchtower, when they secure a speed camp. So you know, okay, my opponent is moving out towards me, right? That's the information that you see when you see the center is taken. It's also very dangerous to try to push up this way without using the dog's like vision ability. You see that like pop real quick because you get so much vision. Like look just on the mini map how big this circle is, right? You have so much information on it and you are constantly spamming and pinging it and trying to figure out, okay, where are you? What is going on? Doggos get in, sees quite a lot of Argents there, knows that he can't really effectively push up towards that. So he's going to kind of reposition, continue up, get some speed going. We also got the healing camp going up in the north, so we could go for a little bit of a pincer move, sandwich these troops in here and try to take out the dogs. The dogs, look at this, like the amount of Argents that are out is scary. And there, look at this. This is that reveal. Now you're in this panic mode of, oh, your army is much bigger than I thought it was. Now we have to kind of really be able to panic. We're trying to get an expansion up. We're trying to get our biokinetics lab up, but we're going to have to get ourselves in a safe spot. And part of the way to help us feel safe is by doing this. If we can run by and continue to harass and do stuff like that and force your opponent to come back home, that means they're not moving over and attacking us. We also have got our Hornet out starting to harass and deal some extra damage. Sovereign's Watch is popped on there. The Hornet's getting very low but does end up escaping. So this kind of going back to the game one game plan of I'm going to go for a heavier tech up here. I'm going to be able to get up the Hornets and kind of go that route. Yeah, Hornet's still kind of flying around, healing up off there. But when you're invested so much into it, that means you don't have as much back home to help you. We don't have the exos for the flat cannon on here, so it's going to be kind of this scary mode of us trying to defend against this. That's so many Argents. This big power-up push. There's the first exo, so that's going to help with the flat cannon. We'll be able to kind of help deter this a little bit as long as we've got some Bobs there to help run as a buffer, be able to help repair this up. A couple Bobs are in there, wailing away, being annoying. Hornet still zipping around. We got more dogs coming around here, but there's the Argents powering up, coming in here. We got mass repair going on the flat cannon, and it does get taken out there. Where is the rest of the reinforcements? A couple more doggos coming out to try to trap these troops in place and allow the Bobs to be able to deal extra damage, allow the Exos to deal extra damage, and a couple of them do get caught. They were able to slip by just barely there, but every little bit counts here. This main lone Exo is the main fighting force of this army here, and we got another one has popped out here. The Bobs helping out here, but it's kind of this scramble to defend this base here. More Exos are showing up here. We are starting to clean up a little bit, but we've taken quite a bit of damage. But the fact that we are still alive is what matters. So surviving all this worked out great in our favor. We still have to try to be able to survive the next push, right? We see more and more Argents moving their way across the map here. And there we are going to try to start targeting down the Exos. He's powering them up, trying to get them to be able to deal that extra health, extra damage in the process. And we are getting a little bit of micro battles coming in here. Bob's helping out as well in this, but another big power up. Hornet's trying to come in here, but immediately starts to get targeted down. But remember, as the energy goes down, things get tough. So we get this big power up to try to boost their energy levels here, but Exos still scrambling to stay alive. This is kind of our last ditch fighting effort here as the Bobs are all we've got left to kind of hold the line with that one lone Hornet zipping around trying to kind of be annoying, being helpful here, but it's not helpful enough when Argents are knocking at our natural expansion. And we see just more and more Bobs begin to crumble. The amount of resources that we've got is non-existent because remember, the amount of mining that we're doing is non-existent while these Bobs are on defensive mode here. And then Exo comes out to try to help out. There's no more energy left though. So now we're getting into this nice little position where a lot of these Argents are just tickling. They're not dealing the amount of damage that they once were, but we do see reinforcements coming in with higher energy counts, which is very nice. A Hornet comes in, and we do see kind of that single target down. Bobs are on mass repair. There's the big energy boost trying to help these guys out as they get a huge influx of energy here. Hornet will fall back. Bobs are going to fall back here, and now we're kind of in this scramble. Still Argents at our front door. Where are the rest of our fighting forces? They're non-existent. We're scrambling to get the repairs going, scrambling to keep these Bobs alive. And there we go, targeting them down. Again, mass repair is going to go on this Hornet. This is all we've got left to kind of hold the line here, and it is currently working. Another doggo comes out. Every little bit of resources we've got is basically on full-on repair mode here as we try to keep this Hornet alive. There's the micro again, targeting down these weakened units. The less energy they have, the more that we're doing okay, but the slow trickle of blue is still making its way across here. We're not giving up with this push here. We're committed here. We're going to try to make this happen, but you can feel that Mixu is feeling a little bit better about it. He knows how scary this is. There's the big energy burst. That's what we need to try to kind of turn the tides on this. But mass repair going to go down on the Hornet. More and more Bobs going to get taken out in this process. The Hornet is so low here. But look, another full energy Argent shows up here, and that Hornet has 16 health. Bob's scrambling there, and things are looking rough for Mixu here as he's kind of committed all of his Bobs into this defense here. And now we see the kind of scramble. The sending the Bobs on over. We're going to go attack something else. Where's our Hornet? Finding a healing flower to kind of get in here. Trying to get him to help out here. And this is one of those like committed things where you're like, I'm going to force my opponent to really micro it out. Maybe tax them a little bit more even though I know that I'm dead here. And GG is called. The series is tied up 2-2. What a very fast-paced, aggressive. That was kind of our look back at game number 1. That was one of those that was like, oh, okay. If you go for the same play of the Hornets again, because it's a large map, you want some mobility, you want to get out there, and you want to be able to do that, you're going to be at a disadvantage because I'm just going to commit all of my resources just to Argents and just hit a nice timing attack and just barrel over you and take you out. All right, tied up 2-2. What are we going to be seeing for game number 5? I mean, we've seen some adaptations. The longer the game goes on, the better it is for Mixu. If it's early, the Argents just kind of overwhelm everybody, and it's very, very tough to deal with. So we'll see as it is now Mixu's map choice going into game number 5. So loser gets knocked down to the loser bracket, of course. Winner gets to stay in the grand finals waiting for his chance to fight. But who will it be? Now, while we're waiting for the map choices and the picks here, consider checking out the Maturino prize pool. There's a pinned message on the channel that you could be able to click on and donate for the price of for free. All you got to do is click, use coupon or whatever, and it gives 25 cents added to the prize pool. Or if you feel like it, you can donate to the prize pool for these awesome players here. But one thing to consider here is just like these events wouldn't be possible without the help and support of the community. Even though we've got amazing people working behind the scenes, like Adiko, who's been running the Alpha Navigator Cup for so long during the alphas, during the betas. So it's very cool to see it during our early access launch weeks that it's still going strong. And we've got such a great story going on here of Mixu, who got second place at Alpha Navigator Cup 0, is currently in the winner bracket finals, currently sitting at 2-2, fighting against the Celestials, trying his best to come up with ways to beat the Argent powerhouse that Nicoract is going for. So it's going to be very scary to see in this final game because we're going into Isle of Dread, a very large map here on our final map in this best of 5 here. But we do have more games after that. So let's take a look. Isle of Dread, tied up 2-2 in this best of 5 winner bracket final here. Mixu versus Nicoract. Nicoract was able to qualify through last week's last chance qualifying event. Mixu had 400 points in the season. Number 1 points, current record holder for the number 1 points during the weeklies. But let's get our intros spawning up here in the north. It is our red Celestial player who was able to tie the series up with a powerful Argent build. He is known as Nicoract. And we see the Morph Core getting up and going to be going immediately for this double Illuminite Mine, getting the Collection Ray. And this is our forward base. This is where we're going for with our Celestial faction here. In the meantime, we've got spawning in the south our blue Vanguard player known as Mixu. So Mixu is the grinder, the weekly champion. Got second place in Alpha Navigator Cup 0, trying to get his title here in Alpha Navigator Cup Season 1 final. We've got our Lancer in our Doggo, follow it up here as we kind of creep out. If you're not familiar with Isle of Dread, we of course have this very different main base. There's pathways into it on the left and the right, so you have to be aware of both possible avenues of attack. There is a third base over here. Oftentimes the natural, you get a lot of Luminite very quickly, so there is that kind of aspect. The center of the locations, we've kind of got the map kind of cut off by a river across the map, but you can run through it. But there are, of course, our Luminite towers as well as our health towers here, which is the main creeping areas that players are going to go for in the centers. There are vision camps over here, left and right hand side, but it's going to be very much a fight around the expansions. All right, expansions are going to be the main areas that we're going to be seeing players fight over, and less over other locations in the map, with the exception of the creep camps that you see players go for. But by doing this, you get access to the speed camp that's close to your base. Mixu's not going to be going for that right away. He's actually going to be trying to get in here. Oh no, he's going to get caught. Loses the Lancer. Oh, he knew that there was a healing flower there, so he was coming in there specifically to go for that. And look at this, gets the healing flower off, and we'll be trying to micro and fight in this location, but this is a tough spot to be in with all the Argents there. So we start spreading out the dogs. Losing the Lancer is a big deal in these early stages here, because it kind of weakens your ability to kind of creep up the way that you would have been hoping for up to this time, and now you have to rely heavily on the speed and mobility of your doggos. So he's probably going to be falling back a little bit here, be able to try to heal up at this little health camp here, and be ready to continue up with this little fighting. Now we get the reveal here, coming in here, getting the power up here, and trying to, look at this, boom, 2 level 3 dogs, using that top bar ability to kind of help him out and get in there and try to get the harassment, try to get the damage done here, and try to see if he can pick apart any of these Argents, because again, you lost a Lancer, so you've got to be able to, and oh, losing a dog there, so good control from Nicoract being able to do this. So this like in-your-face dog build is a little bit scary. All right, you know, it's very fast, it's very mobile, it's going to be constantly running around trying to keep your opponent at bay and keeping track of things. But we've seen this before where the Celestial player just doesn't care. All right, I don't care that you have a bunch of dogs. All right, that is irrelevant to me. But this is what's relevant, getting in here and already forcing a Sovereign's Watch, continuing to see more and more units produced out of the creation chambers. But how much defense we've got, we're going for, okay, Biokinetics Lab, still going for these heavier dog builds, and we're kind of stuck in this right now. Mech base going to be coming out here, so we're going for this kind of battle mech style would be my guess here, with the dogs, with the hedgehogs, and go for speed to kind of help us out, which will be nice knowing that is going to be a heavy Argent style of play here. But still revealing, trying to find out what's going on. There's the kind of harassment, taking out the power banks. These are very important to the Celestial players, because not only does it power up and make sure that your Argents have lots of energy, it also helps us to be able to produce from our buildings much faster there. But a couple of doggos going to be picked off in here, but still revealing, getting that information. In the meantime, the main Argent fighting force is still moving around, creeping around, but we're going to get up to a high enough count here that it's going to be very hard for Mixu to deal with just dogs alone, especially when some of them are getting cleaned up like that. But next wave of dogs coming out here. First hedgehog is almost out as well, so we're going to get over and be able to get this speed camp, something that's been kind of left alone for the time being, but it's fine to wait. So now we can be able to get in here, get the extra resources here, and we're going to get it right in the nick of time, because here is the line of Argents moving across the map. First hedgehog is out. We got the kind of pounce, try to get some extra damage in here, but pay close attention to the amount of energy that these Argents have. And we're getting the surround up at the front, trying to micro back weakened units, trying to get some extra damage in there, and now we're in that scramble. Okay, we used a lot of energy. That was a big deal. So now we can kind of retreat back home, really get additional hedgehogs out here to kind of help us out, because it's going to be a lot to deal with. Argent's going to be getting that speed camp, though. We're still going to be pumping them out, getting things ready. Going to keep a couple back at home. So this is our main fighting force. We're not just like all in with this, sending everybody around yet. We're going to group up and then send another pack together instead of doing one at a time type deal, right? Instead of just the rallies across, we're going to really utilize all of our fighting forces here. But we see that the hedgehogs getting repaired up. They're going to be that main thing to kind of keep this alive, and it's very tough to micro around in this little small corridor here. One of them does get cleaned up here. Bob's going to get pulled off the line, but hedgehogs are the main damage dealer that we're hoping for, that extra DPS here. Another one does pop up, but we got that kind of mass around. No mining is taking place while this push is going on here, so he's got to be able to kind of scramble and control things the best that he can, and he is pushing this back a little bit, but there's the next wave, full energy Argent. So this is the push that he's trying to go for and trying to put a stop to this fight, and says, I'm going to try to end you right here, right now. And there we see the hedgehogs going to be microing their way back, trying to keep themselves alive. A lot of the Bobs forced back here, but a lot of big energy Argents are still out here, and there we go, start taking out one hedgehog, two hedgehogs go down. GG is called. Mixu falls down 2-3 to Nicoract there. Very exciting, very aggressive plays. The Argent plays are just too much to deal with here for the players. We've been seeing it where you just kind of are able to build up a large enough count and just constantly pumping out two at a time, producing them faster than anyone else because of how much power you have banked up that allows you to get that speed up on your production. And you just go, all right, I just have more units than you can produce in this moment in time. Even if you tech up to higher tech units to try to defend yourself, you're in trouble. And so we just see that kind of barrel over and run him over there to push him out and take him out. Now, Mixu is not out and eliminated. No, Mixu gets dropped down to the lower bracket where he will be fighting down against another Celestial player, Garnath. We got to see Garnath play a lot. He was able to win 3-1 against Albino last time.